Just call it what it is. How do you survive the Trump administration for this next 4 years? Um, but then I started really thinking about it, and I don't want to survive it.
Yeah.
I changed it. I'm like, okay, how do I thrive
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
administration for the next 4 years? So my thing is, what can I do to get to that point? Because someone's going to get rich who's not rich today under his administration.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, if you think about the last time he was president, now he had some help with COVID, but look how many COVID millionaires turned up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talk
Yeah.
about this all the time, and I'm talking
Yeah.
about not just ones that don't look like us. There were
Right.
several COVID millionaires
You
who popped out who looked
look
like
like
us.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, because they took advantage of people sitting at home, being stuck in their houses, um, and with nothing else to do.
Right.
And so my thing is, those people who didn't survive Trump and COVID, they thrived
Yeah.
during Trump and COVID. Uh,
Right.
so let's, God forbid, and I pray that we don't have another pandemic during
Yeah.
this administration. Hopefully, they learned a lesson from that.
Right.
But still, from a financial standpoint, there's some opportunity there.
Well, good evening, soulmates. This is your boy Chill from the Soul of a Man podcast, and we are glad to be back here with you again after a little hiatus here at the end of the year. And I'm glad to be back in 2025 with my podcast partner, my wonder twin, Darren DB Bryan. What's good, brother?
Hey, man, what's going on? Happy New Year, everybody. Glad to be here. Glad to see 2025. Um, God is good, bro. We made it through another one and into another one. So no major complaints on this side.
Yeah, certainly good, man. All the time, all the time.
No questions. No
Yeah.
question.
So how was the holidays?
Man, holidays for me were relatively uneventful. Spent family time. Didn't go anywhere. Just hung out at home with the kids and at my mom's house. And brother came up for a couple days, and so we just did dinner and the typical holiday stuff. Man, ate too much and had too much black folks food. So now I'm trying to work that off in the new year.
I
But
hear you.
no, it was good, man. How about yours?
It was good. It was good. The kids, they're in school 15 minutes away. Pretty much didn't see them at all last semester, even
Yeah,
being that close. But that's a good thing. They were doing what they were supposed to do school wise. So they, when they got out of school, they came home, and Christian is here with me already. So it was good for the four of us to spend some quiet quality time. They were exhausted from the semester, but it was good, quiet. I cooked Thanksgiving. I said I'm not gonna cook Christmas. It took too much out of me Thanksgiving, so we did it a different way and just got a meal,
yeah,
and it was real good. It was real
yeah. It's
good.
pretty much the same here, man. We catered a large portion of Christmas dinner because my mom just didn't feel up to cooking. My wife did a little cooking and catered some of it, and we made it do what it do, man. It was no complaints, bro. I mean, somebody didn't have a meal, so
Yeah,
no complaints. That's all
yeah,
I say
yeah.
about it.
No doubt, no
Yeah.
doubt, no doubt. Yeah, grateful for it, man. Grateful for it. So, how you coming in tonight? How you
So,
feeling?
man, coming in, man, coming in pretty good, feeling good, man. I think you and I spoke. 24 was a year of extreme highs and extreme lows.
Yeah,
Uh, wasn't a lot of, you know, it never really plateaued and evened out. We
right.
had some turbulence all along the way.
Yeah,
You have some had some smooth rise, and then all of a sudden you hit some deep bumps, and So it's been one of the most up and down years I think I've experienced in a while. Some of the highs. My oldest daughter had her second baby, so
Yeah,
I'm a G daddy times two now. Uh, as they say, I've always been a G, but she made me a G daddy. um, so she had her second one, so I got a grandson to go along with my granddaughter.
yeah.
My wife and I celebrated 10 years of marriage. Um,
Good
Even
deal.
though the weekend that we celebrated or the week, we both were at home with COVID as well as the kids. So something about these even years, man, that I get COVID every even year since COVID has existed.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, so 2020, I think I got it for the first time when it was in its peak.
Yeah,
2022 had it at the same time as we that I had it this past time. It was the A&T Central game in Charlotte that
right.
I missed. And so 24, I knew I wasn't going to the A&T Central game because it was going to be on our anniversary weekend, and
Mhm.
ended up with COVID again. And
Wow.
so I'm glad to see 25. I'm glad to see an odd year, man.
Yeah.
uh,
I
I'm not
hear you.
superstitious or anything, but I'm glad to see it.
Yeah. Will
Uh,
you continue to vax or done with it?
Man, I have not. I did it initially, and I have
Yeah.
not done it since then. Uh,
Same, same
it's
here.
funny, man. I watched television the other night. I was watching television, sports, of course, and they literally had back to back to back vaccination commercials for people over 50. One was for shingles. One
Yep.
was for meningococcal pneumonia, whatever it is, pneumonia.
Yep.
One is for COVID. And I'm like, look, y'all not sticking all this stuff in me. I'm like, I know I'm over 50, but I'm gonna have to take some chances on some stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, man, is it like just when you turn 50, there's a vaccine for everything and they want you
Everything.
to get them all? So
Want you to
no,
get yeah, yeah,
it's
everything.
nuts, bro.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
What about you, man? How you coming in?
Coming in all right. Coming in all right. Today, you and I talked a little earlier. Today was extremely productive. I've been without my iMac for a few months now. It just locked up on me because I'd overrun my storage,
Right.
and so I've been working on the MacBook, which I thank God that I had as a fallback, but much smaller, much smaller screen. You know, you reach this age, you need these a whole lot more. So I need to look at the 27 inches,
Yeah.
27-inch screen to be able to see everything I've got to get done. But was just determined waking up this morning, starting off the week, and said, no, I'm gonna get a tech on. I'm gonna knock this thing out today. So sure enough, took the better part of the morning, but got through it with the tech and was able to add everything back on in regards to programs and apps and software and such, and ready to go. Ready to
That's what's
go.
up.
Like
Hey, at least you
let's
didn't
go
have to
get
go
them.
out and buy another one and spend
No, no, no.
$2,500 on a new iMac.
Yeah, and interesting enough, a lot of people now who are in that Apple family are kind of leaning more towards the iMac Mini, I think it's
Yeah.
called, and it's just the processor, and then buying their own
Box. Yep.
screen um, monitor and doing it that way. And I just have a tendency of just saving entirely too much stuff on my desktop,
Yeah.
and being the creative and the work that I did on the creative side, got the Mac for that reason, photo editing and video editing and such, but had just saved too many photos onto the computer itself. They could have very easily have gone onto an external hard drive. So I'm vowing one of the things for this year is to really start using this external hard drive, keep things off the computer to keep me going, keep me
Yeah.
going. Uh,
No,
it's
that makes sense.
yeah, it's a lifeblood. I gotta have it. Gotta have it. Yeah,
I know that two things I can't do without. Well, probably more than two, but two of the worldly things that I can't do
Right.
without for certain. That's my phone and my MacBook. So they both are with me wherever I go at any given time. So I
Yeah.
feel you, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people would agree with that
Yeah,
without question. But yeah, short of that, man, coming in pretty good, like yourself. 24 presented a lot of highs and lows.
yeah,
Uh, just couldn't quite get it to level out. I mean, right in line with what you said, and I need a year with some plateauing, with some leveling to it, not
yeah,
just these drastic highs and drastic lows. But when I look back over the course of the year and think about those lows, they were counterbalanced
yeah,
with the highs without question, and able to accomplish some things that in any other circumstances may not have been able to do. So to be able to do it, maneuvering through what was happening during the course of last year, I I can't do anything but thank God for that.
yeah. No doubt,
Yeah,
no doubt. But man, so we've been on hiatus for a little while.
yeah,
Uh, I've fielded a couple of questions as to why from people.
yeah, yeah,
Um, Wanting to know what was up, if we were calling it quits, and just all of that stuff. And
yeah.
the answer to the calling it quits piece is no.
Right, right.
That's rather obvious to me.
Yeah,
And I get why people feel that way or thought that. Um, but in terms of just the hiatus, I mean, obviously it was the holidays, number one.
yeah.
But man, honestly, number two, I can't speak for you. I think I can, but I won't. I just had some stuff going on, man.
Life,
Um,
life,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
For me, my mom is a little sick. I
Mhm.
won't take a dive into as to what's going on. I'll just keep that, and just solicit prayers for anybody who is viewing this. I mean, she's fine. She's in good spirits. We are trusting and believing God that everything's going to be okay, and we're trusting and believing that God is going to put her in the hands of the right doctors to make sure everything is okay. But
Yep,
it's been tough, and it's been going on for probably about a month and a half, 2 months now, and so it made it tough to want to do anything podcast or anything else, related. It made it tough
yep.
some days, just getting waking up,
Right, right.
um, just because I lost my dad. Actually, this year will be 5 years, and so you think about that, and so you're like, oh, man, I don't want to go through this and deal with it, and I don't think we're anywhere close to that point or at that point or anything,
Right.
uh, but it does just kind of spark the memory. So again,
Absolutely.
it's been tough, man, and then trying to still be a husband and a father and a friend and everything else during this it got tough, man. So the
Yeah.
hiatus was needed, even though it wasn't intended.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of my reason for the hiatus.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I hear you. I've been through it.
Yeah,
So some of the experiences that you're facing right now, I've been there. So I know just the mental and physical pull that can have on um, not just the person going through it, but all those that love them.
yep,
And it can be tough without question. And yeah, man, for myself, some of it was just fatigue, really, just flat out fatigue, mental, physical. As we got through, we haven't been on since we did the election show.
right. With
And
Wilmart.
yes, so leading up to that, as was the case with most people, I'm sure, around the country and the world, everyone was just kind of holding their breath to see
Yep,
where we going, what's going to happen in this. And for many of us who were pulling for a different outcome than what ended up being the case, you kind of exhaled after it was over, but there was some grief that came along with that.
Yeah.
It's the only way that I can state it, the only way I can say it. Literally, some grief that came along with it, and you either stayed in that grief or you had to kind of immediately start thinking about how do I get through this and how do I prepare myself for the next 4 years. I know, we had that on the list of some things to talk about, but um, that was some of it,
Yeah.
for me. And then just um, pushing. The kids are really on their own, but pushing for the one that's in the house with me to get through the end of the school year, as well. And also in the process of working my way back into the workforce.
Yeah.
So even just that search as well, those things kind of compounding, it got to be a lot. But interestingly enough, it's a podcast that both of us follow, the Pivot,
Yep.
with Ryan Clark and um, Fred and Chan. I saw a recap show that they did. It was really interesting hearing Chan talk about really how tiring this is and how much more difficult it is than what people would ever think and imagine. And I think we both knew that,
Yeah.
have felt that at some other points. And you really gotta make sure. We spent a lot of time talking about health this year, but you really gotta make sure that, hey, shut it down when you need to, and make sure that you are maybe not 100%, but so hopefully somewhere in the 90s,
Yep.
to keep it going and for it not to go away, because that hasn't been an option for us
Right.
at all. Take the time that you need to deal with life. Part of what we have done in this podcast is to try and be as transparent and vulnerable and open as we could be, to let our community know. You may look at us from the outside and it may look like all things are together and all things working for the good, and they are.
Yep.
But we have those hills and valleys just like anyone else does. We have those days where we're burning um, at 800 horsepower, and other points in time where the strength just isn't there. So I appreciate the time down. Excited about, if you can imagine, year 3, season 3 for us.
Yep.
Can you believe it?
It's crazy.
It's
Nuts.
crazy, nuts to be starting the 3rd season of the Soul of a Man podcast from this little idea that came about over lunch. And
Yeah, man.
but it's important for you to keep encouraging me to keep encouraging you, because you hear it coming back from folks who supported us, coming back from the community, that we are serving a purpose,
Yep.
and want to make sure that we keep pushing God's purpose, not ours, but God's purpose, to bring information, some entertainment, some enlightenment, some insights, what we can to keep people living their best lives in the second half of their lives, second part of their lives.
Yep. No, man, no doubt. Not to belabor 24 a whole lot, but want to touch on a few other things.
Yeah.
I had the politics up here, man, but I don't even want to touch on that. That is what it is. You said it. We all had our period of mourning, depending on what side you were on.
Yeah.
Um, we'll talk about our thoughts on moving forward here. We've already actually touched on that, but we'll talk about that some more. But man, our alma mater,
Yeah.
the illustrious North Carolina A&T,
Yeah.
had some interesting things happen in 24. New chancellor,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
n- um, homecoming off the chain. I mean,
Goes
off the
without
chain.
goes without saying. Yeah.
Yeah. New football coach coming in at the end of the year. Old one exiting.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was some pretty interesting times, man. Starting with Chancellor James Martin.
Yeah. Yeah. It came in May or August?
August. August.
August. And I'm really excited and optimistic about what he's going to do with the
Yep.
university. Has made some strides already. We're coming off of not our best season in Aggie football history, and he had to really make some hard core decisions, or a hard core decision, as to whether you stick and stay with the coach that was there, or you make a bold move, pay off the contract, and bring in someone else. Because as we both know, collegiate athletics, specifically football, is really, or can really be, a gateway to a university.
Yeah.
And when you, in the case of HBCUs, it's football and the band. I don't know in which order
Yep.
it's most important, but those two things really are incredible. Um, in case of football, obviously, revenue generating, but also marketing tools for the university. But it's exciting as well, just to take a step back, to see, in response to, and it wasn't solely in response to this, but I'm sure as a part of the response to all the DEI enrollment changes that are coming about and being instituted at even larger PWIs here in North Carolina and across the country. The enrollment and applications for HBCU enrollment is through the roof.
Yeah.
I was in a board of visitors meeting recently, and it was reported that they are anticipating at A&T this year, applications hitting somewhere close to 50,000, for some, I think it's 3,500 freshman spots.
Wow.
Um, so you start to get into a situation where it's a matter of, it's fantastic. I love the fact that there's that kind of interest, and I'm the main proponent of telling the kids, "Hey, come home,
Yeah.
come home. Um, Spend these 4 years somewhere where color isn't an issue, at least while in the school that you're in."
Yep.
And but the issue starts to get into infrastructure, and
Well,
in
yeah. I mean, come
schools
home
that
is
don't
great, but
have it.
if there's no room at home, it makes it really tough. So
Come home. The mindset of come home,
yeah.
the thinking of coming home, but there's kind of no room at the end. Um,
Yeah.
from housing on down,
Yeah. I
and
think I
those.
think yeah, people don't realize, man, and you said the word infrastructure, and infrastructure is very broad as it relates to an HBCU or just a college campus in general.
Yeah,
Housing is just one small part of it. I mean,
right.
you're talking about more professors you're going to need as you increase enrollment. You're talking about more campus police that you're going to need. You're talking about, I mean, you name it, it's the entire
Cafeteria.
yeah, cafeteria. Um, so it's everything, man. So
Yeah,
uh, it's a good problem to have, I guess.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but it seems to be that the vast majority, or at least the ones that are flourishing, HBCUs, are having this issue as enrollment is up in a lot of these HBCUs.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so
Across.
again, and I suspect that's going to continue to increase as we get through this next 4 years, and the Supreme Court continues to do what they do as it relates to DEI
Yeah.
affirmative action and things of that nature. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
See what
Yeah.
goes on the college campus and primarily HBCUs over the next couple years. Yeah.
We're real proud of our guy to this point, and we hope to spend some time with him. He seems to be spending time on the yard and interacting with the students and the alum and all of that. And again, this coaching situation was a big, bold move that I think the alum are very appreciative of,
Yep.
and him keeping his foot on the gas. In doing so, it was extremely exciting to hear that the university has added an undergraduate degree in artificial intelligence. Just super. I mean,
Yep.
it's just super, and I think it's the first of its sort in the state of North Carolina.
Yep.
So, we're continuing to push STEM forward, and that's a really exciting endeavor that we're going to be taking on, and I'm sure it's going to draw even more students. So,
And then the R1 status that we are striving towards, which is going to also cause things to go gangbusters and increase the monies that we get and increase the other things that we can do with those funds. So it's, man, we got an exciting time from the country's largest HBCU. So
yeah, it is.
it should be good, bro. He's done a great job in my eyes since he's been on board. So I look forward to whatever else there is to come.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Man, we haven't talked about a lot of our episodes from 2024. What were some of your favorites and who were some of your favorite guests, man? I know we normally don't say, hey, we had a favorite guest or whatever, but there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I enjoyed this conversation with Joe or whoever it was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As I sat back today and went through the list of people that we've talked to and had on, again, it's really a who's who of some really talented and dope people. Um, and the other thing that threw me for a loop as well when I went back and thought again about the first guest that we had on the show this year, Dr. Ed McDonald, who's a dentist down in
Actually,
Atlanta.
he was the second.
Second, you're
Yes.
right. You're right. Um, it was funny to even think back that far.
Yeah.
To even remember, wow, we did talk to Ed. As many of our guests, he's somebody that I've known for years, but really just had no idea to just how much dental health correlated to your overall health and well-being. So that was a really insightful and engaging conversation without question. And a couple of more that just jumped out at me because they were folks that I knew, and all of them were dope.
Yep.
But Bishop Adrian Starks is a friend, Aggie brother. We knew that we wanted to talk a bit about spiritual health.
Yep.
And I had been someone who had dealt with some church hurt, having worked in the church. And he's talked to and counseled me about it before, but thought that would be great to bring to the community. Is there some other people, some more people who have not made their way back to church since COVID?
Yeah.
To the four walls, the institution, the brick and mortar church itself. Not that they've strayed away from their spirituality or their walk with God, but just haven't gone back into that physical space. And there's a lot to be said about that. I know you're in church every Sunday. There's something to be said about the gathering of believers in a space of that sort. But really enjoyed talking to him. He's just real. You
Yeah.
know, he's as real as they come, and is leading an incredible flock here in his church here in Greensboro. But he was another, and um, interestingly enough, we said we may not go too deep into politics tonight, but Dr. Oliver Thomas is another good friend here, and brought Oliver on as we were leading
Into the
uh,
election.
into the election,
Yep.
to talk about the Kamala effect, and where things might go, and where we thought they might go. And Oliver's interesting. He's a incredible thought leader, um, a bit soft spoken. So got finished with it and knew there was a lot of information in there, but weren't exactly sure as to how it translated
Yep.
to the community in the show, and ended up being the one of the highest watch shows that we had last year. Um, Latecomer Laura Kubbage, Superior Court judge, just didn't know her.
Right.
We're in a lot of the same professional circles here in Greensboro, and she was running for North Carolina Supreme Court just last year. So her reputation really precedes itself, but it was really good to just get to chop it up with her, and come to find out she's about as real as they get. Definitely knows how to code switch with the best of them, and I could absolutely see her at a state dinner with the Obamas, but could tell some brothers on the block off if she needed to. Uh, don't want to be on the other side of the bench in her courtroom. I don't in her
Nah.
courtroom, but gained another family member to the Soul of a Man podcast family, and so those were a few of my highlights. But everybody was phenomenal. Yeah.
No.
How about you?
Yeah. So for me, man, Laura Cubbage was one of my favorites as well. Just to hear her story,
Yeah.
to hear her go from cutting hair from the barber chair to the bench, and it was an amazing story. How she started school late at A&T and then went on to law school and so forth. Again, great story. I suspect before it's all said and done, she's going to be back on because we got some more stuff to rap to her about. That's even a bit more personal than we went. As we questioned how a good-looking woman like her, brilliant woman, was kind of single right now. So I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with the brothers, why they're not approaching her. And I think we know. We talked about that just a little, but I would love to dive into that a bit more, just to see what she's got to say about it.
Yeah.
She's got an invitation back to the show.
Right.
A couple of others. Anytime we talk business or money, I'm always excited. So we had my friend, my brother, Jabbar Jameson on to talk about kind of protecting your financial legacy with insurance and investment vehicles and things of that nature. And then we also had our brother, returning brother, Eric Montgomery, to come on and talk about wills and estates and trust and so forth, all of which we all need. So that was also a great show. And then from a business standpoint, our brother Sean Crenshaw with Ovation Cologne. Man, I thought that was an exciting show. He's a dynamic brother who is actually out here really doing it in this entrepreneurial world. Great product. He's got great marketing. He's got this photo that you and I have talked about of him in a cigar bar. It's in black and white of him smoking a stick, and it's just an absolute amazing photo. Is the photo is an ad by itself. So
Yeah.
really enjoyed having him on, man. And again, like you said, bro, just pretty much everybody, man. We
Yeah.
have I don't think we have missed as it relates to guests.
Haven't missed.
And even our last show prior to this one, man, just having our boy on, Will Mark, who
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
very knowledgeable in that understanding the politics and the
Political realm.
fallout from the
Yeah.
politics and just being real about it and having a down to
Yeah.
earth kind of approach to it and mindset about it. Uh,
Right.
Solid brother, man, and he's somebody that we talk to frequently, so it's always just going to be nothing but laughs and everything
Right.
when he's on. So no, it's been great, man. Again, I don't think we've missed.
Yeah. 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 Hoping that we can do some more of those types of shows as well in
Yep.
2025, where it's just a dialogue with folks that we know,
Yeah.
whether it's the two of us, 2-on-1, or whether it's more of a panel type discussion in some way, just to get perspective
Yeah.
from different brothers and sisters, but in a bit more of a relaxed setting
I would
than
agree.
than an interview type setting. But it's things that we're talking about for 2025 moving forward, and something else that I hope that we can really pursue as well, and that is to really put it out there to the community. We need the community to respond, but really put it out there to the community to see what areas you'd like for us to cover.
Yeah.
What's good, soulmates? This is your boy Chill from the Soul of Man podcast. This year, we need for you to be conscious and intentional and buy Black. Support your Black businesses. Give them your business, uplift them, encourage them, but most importantly, purchase and buy from them. One of the brands that we hope that you'll support on that day is our boy and a friend of the podcast, Sean Crenshaw, and his brand, Ovation for Men. It's an incredible fragrance that you can get from Amazon, and they also have Ovation Sport. Get some of that input from the community. What's on your mind? What's on your heart? It's interesting now for us both to be approached by folks who say, "Hey, put me on the podcast." Like, okay, what are we going to talk about?
Right.
It's one thing to come on, but it's another thing to have an idea, and it doesn't have to be a hardcore topic, politics, relationship. It doesn't have to be that, but to have some idea that gives us some framework as how to set it up and move forward in the dialogue and just rap.
Yeah.
I think people are really interested in just hearing our perspective on different things, because some of the other shows that were really highly watched, it was you and I just talking.
Yeah.
Recaps, check-ins, that sort of thing. And we're in a season where brothers need to talk.
Well, I think we're in a season where Black folks need to talk.
Yep, I'd agree.
Some we will separate men and women, and some we'll bring it together because we need to bounce off of one another.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just, it's the sad reality. It's where we are right
now. Right.
So yeah, which kind of leads us into what's 2025 looking like, and how do we plan on shaping it, even though it's you would think we would have it already shaped out and whatever. We don't.
Yeah.
We have a pretty good overview of what we want to do, but we also want to we don't want 2025 to be as rigid as we did in 24. We knew second half, and we're going to talk about health and finance and all of that stuff in 24. Don't want this to be as rigid.
Right.
So I know you and I had this conversation when we started kind of goal setting for the new year, where we wanted to focus on 3 C's. And that's community, collaboration, and consciousness. We just felt like that was kind of all encompassing of our movement.
Right.
I'll start with collaboration, man. The goal is if someone has a podcast and they're willing to have us on or willing to be on ours, we would love to collaborate. Uh,
Exactly.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
We have certainly reached out and we'll be reaching out to people to see if we can, hey, let's do some joint episodes. It can fall under both of our banners. Doesn't
Right.
matter. We're
Right.
easy.
Yeah.
We just want to
Yeah.
get the word out and obviously build a bigger community as well.
Right.
Um, Another thing from a community standpoint, and I think consciousness as well, we want to put an emphasis this year, and I think we've done a decent job, but we want to put a heavy emphasis on Black businesses.
Hmm.
Um, we talked about it with Mark on the last episode, how there's this is added need now for Black folks to do their own thing and
Right.
for us to support
Right.
uh, for the obvious reasons. And so we're going to be highlighting and spotlighting Black businesses.
Yeah.
And it could be where it's just no more than hey, I pop into a place that's Black owned and there's a 5 to 10 minute conversation and we catch the content and we put it out. Or it
Right.
could be the person's invited on the show and they get 30, 45 minutes, an hour to, talk about what they do, very similar to what Sean, his show was.
Yep.
So either way, we're going to be capturing that, and we're going to be putting a concerted effort into talking to Black business owners. And I know for me personally, I like to eat, so I do frequent some Black foods places. And so if they say, "Why are they always talking to someone who has a restaurant?" That's going to be on me because I
Right.
like to eat.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, you know what? Too, along that same line, as we look at 2025 and look at really the next 4 years of the new administration, we just find a lot of people. You and I both encounter a lot of people in various places or seasons of their careers,
Yeah,
and looking to retire, looking to figure out what they're going to do post retirement.
yeah,
I've talked to so many people who actually have retired, and see them the next year to homecoming or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, how's retirement? Oh, I went back to work, and a bunch of DMV natives, who I know and love that had worked for the government forever, retired, and then had the opportunity to go back as contractors, which makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
But for those that don't have that pathway, there are a lot of people who are looking to see what can I do from a business perspective, and I think you get a lot of insight, a lot of perspective, a lot of guidance from hearing other people's stories as to how they got to XYZ point. Um, and in many cases, as an entrepreneur myself, I would talk to individuals who are like, wow, how did you start X, Y, and Z? How did you get into that? And a lot of it is really trying things,
yeah,
experimentation, figuring out what that thing is. A lot of people make this analogy, and it's kind of cliche, but true at the same time. What would you do and enjoy it, even if you weren't being paid to do it, and you do it well? But really, it falls real in line with what we were looking to do with the podcast in general, and that's really pushing people to realize, figure out, what is this season of my life going to look like,
yeah.
and knowing and wanting to have some meaning. What does that meaning and that purpose look like? So yeah, excited about the business piece of it. And to your point, Darren, you said, it could be you popping in and grabbing a meal, or myself popping in somewhere and grabbing a meal, or checking out a Black owned business. In line with that, looking to just bring a lot more different types of content
Yeah.
to our own community. while we implore them to help us grow the community because we need to grow it.
Absolutely. And the other thing, man, and you kind of alluded to it and touched on it. Um, this next 4 years is going to be interesting. Um, you know, you hear people saying, we've actually said it, how do we just call it what it is? How do you survive the Trump administration for this next 4 years? Um, but then I started really thinking about it, and I don't want to survive it.
Yeah.
I changed it. I'm like, okay, how do I thrive
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
administration for the next 4 years?
Right.
Because what I do know, uh, there are going to be some new millionaires made while
Yeah.
he's president.
Yes,
There's going to
there
be
are.
some current millionaires who are going to become billionaires, and there are going to be
Yep.
some billionaires who are just going to get richer.
Right.
Um, hell, if nothing else, I want to be a thousandaire. I'd love to be a millionaire, but I'll take being a thousandaire, and I mean a thousandaire, like knocking on the door
I
of
hear you.
a million.
I hear you.
So my thing is, what can I do to get to that point? Because someone's going to get rich who's not rich today under his administration.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, if you think about the last time he was president, now he had some help with COVID, but look how many COVID millionaires turned up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talk
Yeah.
about this all the time, and I'm talking
Yeah.
about not just ones that don't look like us. There were
Right.
several COVID millionaires
You
who popped out who looked
look like
like us.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, because they took advantage of people sitting at home, being stuck in their houses, um, and with nothing else to do.
Right.
And so my thing is, those people who didn't survive Trump and COVID, they thrived
Yep.
during Trump and COVID. Uh,
Right.
so let's, God forbid, and I pray that we don't have another pandemic during
Yeah.
this administration. Hopefully, they learned a lesson from that.
Right.
But still, from a financial standpoint, there's some opportunity there, and
Yeah.
we have got to keep our ears to the street. We as a community. Um, Again, I wake up every morning. I know you do too, because we've had these conversations. And the
Mhm.
first thing you do is you log on to see what the stock market is doing, at least internationally, because
Right.
they're already up and moving.
Right.
And then when 9 o'clock hits, all right, what is the market doing, or what did it do the day before? Because we
Yeah.
got some money tied up in a few things in the
Yeah.
market.
Or today
Um,
was a good day.
exactly, and to be totally candid, since he won, it has not been bad. I'm being
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think it's just it's timing, a
Right.
lot of it. I don't think he hadn't done anything so great, but it is just that people are, people are familiar with, are comfortable with what they're familiar with. So
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
these CEOs and business owners and millionaires, they're happy. So the market's moving accordingly.
Right.
Um, so my thing is, I can sit back and, for the lack of better words, sit back and bitch about it, or
Yeah.
I can say, all
Yeah.
right, how can I get some of this money?
Right.
And I need some
Right.
of this money.
Yeah. And in doing that too, you've got to kind of look past his foolishness
Mhm.
and, to your point, see where the opportunities are. But that means you've got to stay abreast of the news thread.
Yep.
As hard as it may be to watch, and it's hard for me to watch.
Yeah.
Um, you have to stay abreast of it to keep up with um, what he and his administration are doing, and how that's affecting um, even the world economy,
Yeah.
and see where the opportunities are to get in there and benefit from it. Because there's some real drastic changes that are coming about. We mentioned AI earlier,
Yep.
and we know it's going to, at a point, affect everything that we do in this world. Um, and there are those companies who are building that technology and pushing that technology forward. And I know plenty of folks who are like, well, I don't know anything about stocks. I don't know anything about that. At a point, you've got to learn.
You gotta
Um,
learn.
you've got to force yourself to sit down and learn some of it. And there's great teachers. Our boy Wall Street Trapper
Yes,
out
sir.
out on YouTube University. Puts it in as layman terms as you can possibly put it.
Yep.
Uh, in all of his Nolans glory. But we really are going to see some opportunity that's going to come about. And Darren, you and I talked about this a little earlier. Spoke to a friend of mine, and he said, "Hey, hit me up using WhatsApp. I'm abroad," and said, "Oh, okay, no problem. I'll hit you back." He said, "Yeah, I'm in Africa." I said, "Where are you?"
Yeah.
And he said, "I'm in Ghana." And I said, "You're kidding me." He said, "No, I'm in Ghana. I'm doing some business, and there's a real good likelihood that I'm going to pick my family up, and we're going to be here next year, um, maybe for just a few years. But it's too much opportunity here not to investigate this."
Yep.
And there's some folks who are looking at those type of opportunities, and why I was so shocked is because I've looked at those type opportunities.
Yep.
Um, the opportunities may not be here in the States.
Right.
Um, and so we've all got to be thinking outside of the box, but I think we've got to thrive through this thing, not just survive it.
Well, and you think about it, man. Let's talk about Ghana and just Africa in general. Um, for Black Americans, we're we're a little late to that party. Um, if you look at Chinese and Japanese and everyone else, they've been in Africa benefiting for a long time.
They're there and
Yeah,
coming stronger.
and coming stronger. We had the mindset of, you know, I'm not going back to somewhere I didn't come from.
Mhm.
Yeah, our lineage came from Africa. We all know that. Everybody's did, whether they want to admit it or not. Um, but we're like, yeah, I'm not going back. I was born in the United States. I'm an American. I'm not going back. Well, you know what? That story that kind of has kind of changed
Yeah,
because there's some opportunity there,
yeah,
and the cool thing is Africa, Belize, uh, Bali, those places are welcoming us with open arms.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, so
yeah,
it's a good opportunity from a real estate play, and so your real estate guy is smart for going over there to check it out.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
my wife and I talk about it. I was like, we got these two young kids, but I'm not opposed.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
Grandparents might lose their mind if we do it, but we'll have to figure that out.
Right, right, right. But yeah, but the main thing again is just making sure that we're looking and assessing where opportunity presents itself, even here, even here, of course.
Absolutely.
Um, and even in the brief conversation with him this morning, it's just a drastic cost, and the value still of the dollar, um, to the rand in South Africa, um, that is so strong, that it really does present some opportunity there. And again, to hear the folks from the continent, uh, many of them who came here to go to school in the States and then went back home, like there is
Yeah.
so much opportunity, and we are begging, those folks who are part of the diaspora to come back.
Yep.
Um, so, again, it's all a part of seeing where the opportunities are. They could be right here in my backyard in Greensboro, but I've got to think outside of the box. We've all got to think outside of the
Yep.
box, and how we're going to take care of us, because
Yep.
there's no savior coming on a white horse, to save us.
No.
Um, uh, and that didn't come out exactly right. There is a
I,
savior
I,
that's coming to save.
I know what you meant. And I think most people understand. We do
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
savior,
yeah, yeah,
uh,
without
but
question.
he's not on this earth
Right, 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 right,
yet. He's coming
right,
back. But no, no, I'm with you, man. And I think the cool thing about us and this pod um, is that we keep our ears to the street.
Mhm.
We watch a lot, but we're also not afraid to bring people on who know way more than we
What a
do about
Absolutely.
whatever. So
Absolutely.
I suspect in this 2025, we're going to have real estate investors on coming to talk about what's going to happen with when as interest rates continue to go down.
Yeah.
Um, you know, during this last Trump administration, uh, it was a run on from institutional investors, on real estate.
Right.
Will that happen again? So we're going to have the people on the podcast, man, who's going to help us and help our community. We just need our people to look, watch, and listen,
Yeah.
because we're determined that we're going to get paid. We're going to thrive in these next 4 years,
Right.
and we're going to associate ourselves with people who are doing so as well.
Yeah.
We're going to ask the questions. We're gonna bug some folks and. Uh, there's going to be some intentionality around it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and and ultimately, there's going to lead for the both of us some independence,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you know what I
No
mean.
doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah.
But yeah, man. So as we wrap, bruh, we know, and I think we've communicated with each other. We know what our podcast goals are for the most part. Any personal things you want to get done this year? What does that look like, bruh?
Yeah, man. The making sure that there are those personal goals that are out there. As a father of three, like so many parents, so much of my goals flow through them. Um, they're getting it. They're doing it, and I could not be prouder. The two of them will go back to school in college in a few days, and the third one, the high schooler, will go back to high school in a dual enrollment program. So he'll be in high school and taking college courses. So I have three college students
Yeah.
in school at the same time. Uh, so it's mind-boggling for me, but just really could not be prouder of them in that regard. And then it's just really a part of, again, what we created this whole Soul of Man podcast piece for was started off to give black men, a platform, and that's still so much a part of our goals.
Yeah.
Um, but to give our community a platform to come together and talk and share, because that's how we're going to come to communicate better with each other, know that much more about each other, build community together, and move things forward. So, I came out of an entrepreneurial space prior to going back into the workforce before, left that scenario about a year and a half ago. And it's just kind of been a tug of war back and forth, um, praying on my knees, Lord, tell me what is the direction I'm supposed to take here? Am I supposed to go back into this, or am I supposed to push forward with my entrepreneurial endeavors? And I haven't gotten a thunder and lightning answer to it yet. But the fact that I'm not back in to corporate America as of yet, I think may be a part of the sign of God saying, you've got a lot in you that you have still got to share with the world of yourself. So, the main goal was really getting back to me, which I kind of lost some of. no regrets, but
Yeah.
kind of like some as husband and father, it's kind of natural for us, specifically, particularly as Black men,
Hmm.
to make those sacrifices to be protector, provider, all things to our families. And I'm proud when I look around and see examples like yourself and our boys,
Yeah.
um, who we could all point to and say, "Yo, not a greater example of a father, great husband, family man, holds it down, keeps it going." Um, but giving up something of ourselves too in taking care of making sure that we do what we're supposed to do and take care of everybody. So part of it for me, um, being a single man at this point, is getting back to me and discovering some things about me that I kind of lost in that process. um, have started the process of that recently, learn some things. learn some things. Um, it was,
I'm laughing for a reason, right?
I'm sure you are, and I forgot the comedian that years ago talked about grand opening, grand closing. Well, I had
Yep.
a grand opening and a grand closing, and but learned some things in the process, and part of that was understanding just how self aware I am. Um, of knowing what's going to work, what's not going to work, what I can tolerate, what I can't tolerate,
Yeah.
and what's going to fit as I'm moving forward, thinking out of the box and looking at being more of a global citizen than just a U.S. citizen. What's going to work? Um, who can fit that? Who can fit in with that and flow with it and grow with it and help me build it,
Which
because
is
there's some
which is
building,
critical.
which is critical. So yeah, real optimistic about 2025, man. Getting my spiritual footing back, as well as a big, big, big component. And I guess one final piece is in just making sure with this particular piece here again, that we positively exploit it to its absolute hilt. And I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of me. I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish at this point. We haven't scratched the surface.
Nope. Nope.
Haven't scratched the surface yet. And there's a lot still yet to accomplish with this piece.
Yeah. I would agree.
So
I would agree, bruh.
you got the last word. How about yourself?
So for me, man, um, I was trying to think about it. I got my quote unquote goal set, but this year is going to be a year of quiet growth.
Hmm.
Uh, I want to grow, but I want to do it behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I don't want to be outside of this podcast and a few other events. You won't see me a lot.
Yep.
Um, this is going to be quiet growth on every front for me. Grow my family, not in terms of head count. No, not head count. Just in terms of where we are.
Mhm.
Um, continue to pour into my kids, continue to pour into my wife. She's got a little business that she's working on, so we're going to make sure she's getting that moved forward. So grow her there. Definitely grow spiritually, man. That's a must.
Yeah.
Um, my wife has given me permission to run wingman. So whenever you're ready, I tend to be a pretty good wingman.
Yeah, I've
It
seen
has
your work. I've
it
seen your
has
work,
seemed
little
to have
brother.
worked for my brother. He's probably not don't want me putting his business out in the streets, but
Right, right.
he's doing all right now as a
Alright,
result of me running wingman for him. So yeah,
alright.
man, it's just again, bro, quiet growth for me, intentionality. Um, don't want to be a lot of places. Just want to kind
Yeah.
of lay low and
Yeah.
observe and soak in and continue to grow my knowledge base because I think
Mhm.
I'm going to need it for these next few years to
Yeah.
get to where I want to go.
Got it.
Um, yeah, so that's pretty much it for me, brother. That's
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
man.
Well,
Looking forward to Soul of a Man continue to do what it's doing and
yeah.
beyond.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good stuff, man. We've still got a book project to finish.
Yep.
And so that's definitely got to be completed, hopefully before the end of Q2 of
Yep.
this year,
Yep.
and ready to take to market. But real excited again. Just kind of floored as in preparation for this to look up and say, wait a minute, season 3. Um, yeah, so we're in it, but looking for that innovative content. Again, we're not doing trash, not doing a bunch of pop culture, um, not doing maybe a bit more, but not doing a bunch of relationship pieces because there's so much of that out there. But we
Yep.
got to touch on it.
I think
After
that's some
my
stuff we can add to that
yeah yeah
and do it in a different manner, and
yeah
certainly a
yeah
tasteful manner. So we'll be lending our relationship experience, trial and error and life experience to it. So yeah,
right 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 yeah. So after my recent experiences, I need all the counsel and insight I can get as I quickly rush up on 60.
that's right, bro. In 5 days, and
Yeah,
actually, the time this episode airs, you would have celebrated a birthday.
yeah, turning 60, which is really exciting. And God willing, and is saying the country, God willing, and the creek don't
Creek
rise.
don't rise.
I will be 60 by the time this airs,
Yep.
and just really excited about that milestone, and know you're not too far behind
Right.
next year, but looking forward to that piece and looking forward to 2025 being special. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
you would have turned 60. You would have turned 60 when this airs, and I think I will be something like 15, 16 days out or whatever from turning 59 when this airs. So
yeah,
both January babies. So
yeah,
whew,
yeah,
God willing, and the creek don't rise.
Well, it's been good, man, and again, as we gear up for this upcoming year, we're going to put some things out there and really encourage you all to let us know what sort of shows you'd like to see, what sort of topics you would like to see covered by us from a male perspective, of two brothers of a specific age, and gentlemen of a certain age, and as well as, again, Darren mentioned collaboration. If you are podcasters or content creators of your own, we're going to encourage you to reach out to us, see how we can potentially work together
Yep.
and put some more great content out there. But we are so appreciative. I know I can speak from a wonder twin. We're so appreciative of the support that you all have given us, for continuing to rock with us. Again, we need you. We looked at some analytics the other day. So about 50% of you who have followed but haven't and have subscribed, and about 48% of you have followed us but are not subscribers. And we need everyone to subscribe. The only way we can continue to grow and really push to bring even greater content and do some more exciting things is by reaching some milestones that we've got to reach, hitting a certain number of subscribers. So again, much thanks to you, and we will see you soon. From our soul to yours, we thank you. Happy New Year, and we wish you nothing but Godspeed and blessings in 2025.
Happy New Year.